the Gloom Stalker Assassin is one of the strongest builds in the entire game. It has a very straightforward playstyle and is able to unfold its full potential quite early in the game. If you want to know how to exactly play this build, I recommend to watch the Gloom Stalker guide one I did. Unfortunately, this series will stay uncompleted forever due to a corrupted save file, but the first 2 acts should be more than enough to get a good idea how to play this build. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get to it. For the races, I recommend to play a High Elf, so you can get the Minor Illusion cantrip. This cantrip will help you to get your enemies to group up so that you can crit them all at once using the arrows of many targets. Additionally, I recommend to either play as the Dark Urge for the Deathstalker Mantle or as Astarion for the extra 1d10 necrotic damage on your weapon attacks after your ascension in Act 3. You start as a ranger for the saving throw proficiencies in strength and dexterity. For our abilities we take the ranger knight for the heavy armor proficiency and the wasteland fire protection. You could also start out with the poison protection because there is actually also a lot of poison damage in Act 1. For our attributes we start with 16 strength, 70 dexterity, 14 constitution and 10 wisdom. We want a high strength number even though we won't use it for our damage output, so we can keep our athletics and acrobatics at a decent level. At level 2 we multiclass into Rogue for Sneak Attack. Sneak Attack gives you a massive damage boost which already allows you to one-hit certain enemies right from the start. At level 4 we get the Gloom Stalker subclass, where we get the Dread Ambusher ability, which increases our movement speed and our initiative by 3. We also get an extra free attack on the first round of every combat, which even deals an additional 1d8 damage. Combined with the Deathstalker Mantle, this already becomes utterly broken. With the Dread Ambusher attack you will always be able to kill at least one enemy at the first turn of combat. And the Deathstalker Mantle will immediately turn you invisible after this kill, which essentially gives you unlimited combat re-engages for free. At level 7 we finally take the Assassin subclass, granting us advantage against all enemies who didn't took a turn yet. And since we always should have initiative against our enemies, we will always have advantage. But more importantly, we get guaranteed critical hits against prized enemies, which allows us to decimate entire groups of enemies in mere seconds. At level 8 we take the extra attack from the Ranger class, and at level 9 we take the 4th rogue level for the dual leader feat, which allows us to use 2 stat sticks at the same time. This is just a temporary feat though. Once you killed Oren for attackers, we respec and instead take the ability improvement for +2 on dexterity. At this point you have two main ways how you can proceed with your build. First option will be to take Uncanny Dodge and then take the Spore Druid subclass for the additional 1d6 necrotic damage. And I still would say that this is the best option for you if you play on Tactician or lower, because in general higher base damage is better than crit chance. But now with Honor mode it got a lot harder to get these one turn kills, which simply means you will lose your guaranteed crits and this is the selling point, you will take damage and therefore lose your damage boost from the Spore Druid subclass. All this makes the champion subclass now the way better pick for Honor mode. Better crit chance will be more consistent than the additional damage from the Spore Druid, because in bigger fights it's very unlikely that you will keep the buff. Additionally, you get the Action Surge ability, which in Honor mode now became a lot better than it already used to be. This is because in Honor mode the action points you get from Haste or the Block Elixir no longer trigger the extra attack ability from your Martial class, but Action Surge does. Your weapons of choice in the first and second act are the Herald and the Titan Swing Bow. The Titan Swing Bow is only worth using though if you have at least 20 strength. So you have to drink a Hill Giant strength potion after every long rest, which will turn into a Cloud Giant strength potion once you reach Act 3. But at this point it's no longer viable to use the Titan Swing Bow, at least if you're playing solo, because you need the potion slot for the Elixir of Bloodlust. Otherwise you won't have enough action points to take down your enemies. Personally I would already drop the Titan Swing Bow in Act 2 for the Elixir of Bloodlust, but it's not necessary just yet. However, if you play with at least 2 characters you can use the Titan Swing Bow throughout the entire game. If you are playing as Dark Urge, I also recommend to use the Broodmother's Revenge Amulet throughout the entire game. You can use the cooked Darven meat from the Goblin Camp in Act 1 as free heal to trigger the buff whenever you need. Just remember that you can only have 2 buffs at the same time on your weapons. In the second act you can buy the Drake Throat Glaive from Roar Moonglow in Moonrise Towers. This weapon can turn your weapon in an elemental weapon, which boosts its damage by 1d4 elemental damage of your choice. Simply drop your weapon of choice on the ground and target it with the spell to get the buff. For our final equipment we want the Baldur Armour and the Crater Flesh Gloves. And to get these we have to pass the Murder Tribunal. If you are playing as Dark Urge, this is very easy to pass. Assuming you killed Gale in the first act and kept his hand, you can now present his hand at the Murder Tribunal for a guaranteed pass.
So, speak for it. How was this pitiable creature slain?
For our final weapons, we are going to use the Gonter Mail and Hellfire Engine crossbow. Both of them can be acquired in the Steelwatch Foundry. You will get Gonter Mail for killing the Steelwatcher Titan, the final boss inside the Foundry. The Hellfire Engine crossbow is a bit more complicated to get, because you have to craft it. To do this you need to get the Watcher crossbow blueprint, the targeting module and the Steelwatcher arm. You then combine these three at the crafting table in the security office and you will get the Hellfire Engine crossbow.